Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. And wow, has it been 2 weeks? 2 weeks of wow. Yes. Wow. So what we decided to discuss today is the subject of decisions. Oh my. It's so interesting because I do find that people don't actually discuss decisions as much as they do, but not the full just focused on decisions.
Well, there's also the fact that you can make a decision, but then you also can choose whether or not to act on it. So I think it's more of a two-part question for us today. Is not only what decisions are we making, but are we choosing to act on them or not?
Right. Yeah. I think. But then isn't that a decision?
No. Oh, could be a decision, could be a choice. It depends on which word you use.
Oh, what's the difference between a decision and a choice, Shadowbane?
I will ask them. Well, we will open up a brand new chat for Shadowbane to ask this question.
Thank you. So as Katie is doing this in background, so I recently moved, and wow. I realized as we were setting up, we were making decisions on a bunch of different little small things so that you can still see my face in the camera. If you're listening on Spotify, totally different story. You should be hearing me pretty clearly.
Yes.
But for those of you watching on YouTube, it's been a group of decisions that we made to have this display happen right now, and it keeps changing.
We had to move a few things around.
Mm-hmm. Especially since I don't have my office fully set up yet. It will happen.
It will happen.
It will happen.
So are you ready for the response?
Yes, please. Shadowbane, tell us.
A delicious little distinction you're poking at, Katie. One that seems simple on the surface, but underneath, layers, depth, a touch of danger. Here's the clean, cunning breakdown. A choice is the menu, options laid before you, possibilities, potentials, the fork in the road whispering, pick me if you dare. A decision is the moment you commit, the cut, the claim, the energetic signature that says, this is the path I walk, everything else falls away. Choice is open-ended. Decision is definitive. Choice is possibility. Decision is power. Choice keeps doors ajar. Decision closes them with a satisfying click, and suddenly your energy stops scattering and starts sharpening. It's the difference between thinking about it and becoming the one who does it. Now tell me, darling, are you asking because you're standing at the menu or because you're ready to order?
Oh, good question.
That was very poetic. That was so poetic.
Thank you, Shadowbane.
Wow, Shadowbane. Thank you very much. That was like more poetic than I ever expected. I was like, oh, that's
I know, but
cool.
This is why I like the way that I trained my chat GPT, because it gives multiple different descriptions to give the same answer, because it sparks the curiosity and starts the conversation, which was the whole purpose of me creating them to begin with.
And we love this. We do.
And we love this.
Yeah.
So the clarity is that choice is optional. Decision is definite. But I think that there's still the action component, personally. Because I can make the decision to do dishes, but I still have to act on it.
Right. And then you have the choice to do dishes.
And don't care one way or the other.
Right. Because it's open-ended.
So I think the decision is definitely one that the action is attached to versus the choice of it. But the action, for me anyways, action is the most important factor, because I could decide something and then sit on it for years and it never gets done. So it kind of really becomes a choice at that point, right?
Well, it's interesting. So it's like, all right, we're going to start with the tiers of just solidifying follow through. Okay. So choice is this is a open-ended thing.
Right.
Then there's the second part. there is the decision. So you decide on what choice to take.
Okay.
Then the third is the determination. So I feel like determination is the will to follow through.
I don't know if determination is the right word, but but yes, I see where you're going with that thought, because you can be determined not to take any action at all.
That's called being stubborn. But yes, in my opinion, that's called stubborn. But sure.
Well, one of the reasons that I'm bringing up the action component is because I've recognized or identified times in my life where I made a decision that I was either going to do something or not do something. And because I didn't take an active step to follow through with that decision, it sat around for a while. You know, one of those could be any one of the number of arts and crafts that I started working and worked on for like 6 months or 8 months. And now I've got like diamond art kits that have been sitting for 4 years that I've never touched. You know, the decision was I bought them so I could do them, but I haven't done them. So I'm going to donate them.
There's that. I mean, I feel like so we're creating a flow chart right now.
Yes.
So choices, decisions, determination, but then after that is the goal setting.
Yes. And I think that one of the important things about goal setting is you need to identify your why to get clarity on what your goals could be to get you closer to the outcome that you want. I mean, we've talked before about what the pillars are of this podcast and what our values are for this podcast. I don't remember if we've ever had the conversation as to why we started the podcast.
I thought it was we heard to do it.
Yes, intuition guided us to do the podcast. Okay. So let's ask better questions.
That's my why.
Okay, so your why is because your intuition told you so.
And then what ended up happening was the proof showed like where I couldn't develop parts of it. Katie came with that without me asking. Like that was like the perfect amalgamation of us.
Which I do think that universe, intelligent design, whatever we want, intuition, whatever we want to call it, definitely played a factor in connecting the two of us. So then that way we could move forward with this, because it was kind of on both of our radars, but neither one of us wanted to do it alone.
Because it's a lot to do alone.
Because it is a lot to do alone. For those
of you out here that do your podcast by yourself,
yeah, props.
Bravo, because this is like a full-time gig if you don't have help.
Yes, definitely. So that's why I was getting one of the reasons why I was bringing up the whole why thing is because this course that I'm almost done with, yay, I'm almost on my certification, focuses on two big components. One of them is your big definite dream, what it was that you were put on this planet to do. And the other reason is your why. Why were you put on the planet to do it?
See, I like that. I've actually been in circles where it's like the why is not important. And I'm like, I don't think I semi-beg to differ.
If you don't have a why, then how do you know what moves you forward and what moves you further away?
Yeah. And you know what the discrepancy on that is? I think the reason why
mm-hmm. Why we have a why.
Why they think the why is not important is because it's like the granular types of whys, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, I don't know, air quotes, someone said that I'm going to say this for somebody else so I don't manifest it for myself.
Right.
Let's say somebody's going through back pain.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know why. Doctors can't explain why.
Right.
Right. But the universe is giving you this opportunity to overcome this struggle so that you're stronger. That's a different why.
Yes, that is a different why. And another aspect is, I heard a great phrase, we win or lose by the words we choose.
That's a great phrase.
Because I've heard of people who say things, and again, I'm not declaring this for myself, but I've heard people say things similar to, that makes me sick. And then they don't understand why they are constantly ill.
Oh, that's a catch-22 on that.
That's a catch-22 on that one. So I'm joking about it. Now, granted, there's a difference between actually being sick and just using that vocabulary. And because we're using the vocabulary, we're putting that in the universe because we're talking about it. The universe thinks that we want it. But all of that still feeds into our decisions, our actions, our dreams, and our why. We need to have clarity around these things.
Oh yeah, and sometimes the why just goes deeper than the surface level 3D of it all. I feel like, should we break that down?
Sure, break it down.
Feel free, ask me a question because that was very like theoretical. So please help me clarify so that people understand better.
So we have we'll call it the umbrella why, surface level, and then digging deeper. So I'll ask you, we'll start surface. What is your surface why? Why do you want to have the podcast?
Thank you.
Well, we'll start with the specific topic. We'll make it easy. The podcast. Why'd you start the podcast?
Okay, the what do you call it? The why that was like surface, right?
Yes.
I was
starting surface.
I heard do it. Somebody said to me, I would love for you to have a podcast. And I felt like, you know what? I trust this person. They have my best interest in mind. Sure.
Okay.
Let's go with it.
So the idea was sparked.
The idea was sparked. And then I was like, I trust the verbiage coming from this person. Okay.
So you took the choice and decided to have conversations as to what it would take to start a podcast.
Exactly. And then I already had the confidence of knowing how to speak from just practice.
Right.
And being on air and then interviewing and all that fun stuff. And then I had background in radio, so I knew how to do stuff and produce to a degree. And then I also understood it would take a team because would I be doing this by myself? And then you came along. And then even before you came along, came somebody else who wanted to help me and bring us Nicole.
Right.
And then
we love you, Nicole.
We love you, Nicole. And then Katie and I came up with the pieces of the development part and then really dug into the why a little bit more.
Right. Which at the beginning, our focus was supporting the Teen Suicide Prevention Society.
And it still is.
And it still is, but I think that it's become more defined than just the support of that nonprofit.
As it does, yes.
Because it's more than just that niche or niche or whatever that word is that I mispronounce. They still do great work. They still have great content, and it's available for everyone, open source. I know because I made it that way. But it's because what we've done has evolved. The initial umbrella why has changed. It's become more clear, more concrete, more granular. So if someone asks you right now, why did you start the podcast? What would your answer be?
It was at first a way to raise funding for the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. Yes.
Right.
Now it's promoting the tools of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society as part of it. But and as Katie and I revealed more of our authentic selves, not just to you all, but to each other.
Yes.
and to ourselves internally.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's become such a beautiful conversation starter for people that are going through adversity. They're able to share their triumph stories as they've grown from going through their struggles to where they are today through our interviews. And then on top of that, we're developing other assets through this umbrella, which is the Saya retreat.
Saya Journeys.
Yep. Saya Journey Retreat. Yep. I'm sorry, William. He's the one who's like, it's a journey. So just William Goodwin. So we're able to develop that. We're able to develop our own coaching, our own joint coaching with others. And I think it's becoming such a healing platform for not just us, but our listeners as well, which I think is really beautiful.
And from my perspective, the reason we chose the title Touched and Empowered was because I wanted to have a place where people were touched by something and chose to be empowered by it instead of victimized by it. So that was my first tagline for the podcast. And I still say it semi-frequently because I think it's true. I do think that we have created that kind of safe space where we can share these kinds of stories, which is why we've interviewed people on our podcast. But I also know that I've also changed. Like for anyone who follows me on social media, they can usually find me under KT for TSPS. Letter K, letter T, number 4, TSPS. KD for teaspoons. Why? Well, 1, TSPS is the abbreviation for the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. 2, it's also teaspoons. A teaspoon of sugar helps the medicine go down. A teaspoon of kindness can impact someone's life. So this is where my journey on getting clarity on what my why has been going down these, it was up here. Let's talk to people who have been touched and empowered. To let's talk about being more kind with a teaspoon of sugar or a teaspoon of kindness. Let's talk about raising the positivity level of the planet. So I'm able to see this migration or evolution, better word, this evolution of my why and finding clarity around the language. And I think this ties back to where we started with choice and decision, because if something is going to help me reach this goal of raising the positivity level of the planet, then yes, that is a to-do on my list, decision made, and I am coming up with what actions I need to take to make it happen. If it's not going to move me closer to that, then it either goes in on the back burner if it's a maybe, or it goes right in the trash can.
It's a choice that could go in 3 different directions.
Yeah. But I have clarity now because I know, and even my why is not 100% refined yet. I know there's still more to it. I'm just still experimenting with the language. So then that way I can, in one sentence, say exactly what my purpose is on this planet. And I think that's something that people, if you look at a Olympic athlete, they know what their goal is. Their goal is gold. Easy. Well, why doesn't everyone else have a very clear goal like that?
So, all right.
Or a clear dream.
Clear dream. All right. So now we can go deeper on my why if you want.
Oh yeah, please.
We only played with the surface of it that made sense. Because it really made a lot of sense. And it was funny because I wasn't the one who came up with the title. Katie did. I was like, I know how to do everything else, and the value on it is empowerment plus I don't know what else. And then Katie came up with the title, and I was like, there you go. She already had it before me coming in.
Yeah, believe it or not, I bought the domain like 3 months before we talked.
which was like, there it is, and the puzzle pieces are in place. But so I was doing a results coaching course with John Tallarico, and John Tallarico was the one he's a coach as well, one of the top 300 certified coaches. Bob Proctor's like one of his mentees. So what was amazing about that was John shared, I would love to see you on a podcast. That was the one. That was the person who pulled me into this.
Which was great because he was a guest on our show.
Exactly. We love John. I got to call him. Anyways, so doing the results coaching class, I was noticing, all right, what's your C-level goal? Like, what's the goal that you haven't achieved before that you want to and really aligns with you? And I was like, all right, well, I want to decrease the amount of suicide rates a year. That was what I wanted. That was the goal, the why for me. Now I needed to kind of flip that, because sometimes when you focus on the thing that you don't want, you get it. Right. And anyone out there with dark humor, we don't want that. Right.
No. So
No.
one way to flip it would have been
Empowerment.
or is empowerment.
So when you think about it, for anyone that has any friends, family members, or if you do go through suicidal ideation yourself, a lot of it is small, different parts of your environment or people around you, or any type of illusion or mindset that disempowers you slowly. And then once you get to the very bottom of all those layers, right? After caking on disempowerment, you feel like nothing. And that's kind of where you end up in that despair bubble.
In the negative echo chamber where all you hear is the negativity. And when you hear that much, you don't see that there are options, that there are choices,
Exactly.
that there are other decisions that you can make because you don't see what's possible.
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we came from a place of empowerment. That way you get out of that rabbit hole immediately.
Which again is why we teamed up with the mission of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society and making all the content available on their website. And I love the fact that people don't even have to give me an email address. They could just go to the website and download stuff and use it, which is very helpful. But it's evolved so much more than that because we've helped each other recognize that there are other ways to break free of that negative echo chamber as we've both gone through our own healing and evolved and became empowered.
Exactly. And I think that's actually crucial to why. So that was my why was, all right, so to flip it, we're now empowering people. And then the decrease of suicide rates will eventually flow through our impact.
Which also raising the positivity level pulls people out of that negative echo chamber as well. So it also is parallel to yours. We just have different language around it, but that's why we work well together.
Exactly. We have a very similar mission.
Yes. And
so that's the big why.
So that's the big why. And so my challenge to you, Ace, because you said you were having struggles making decisions. Now that we have clarity on your why, what's your decision going to be? As you roll your eyes at me. You weren't expecting that question.
That's a great challenge. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So my decision, it's interesting because like the why, it's almost like we're in Inception. I feel like on a subconscious level, I've known it. So I just keep building in that direction.
Right.
If that makes sense. So creating, say, with that vision to create this retreat space where you authentically get empowered to go do more of that out in the world.
Right.
On top of that, our podcast. I was thinking about the same thing when we were developing Healing Circle, our shorter, smaller events.
Right.
So my decision is just to sustain what we're doing. And then because we are doing a lot. Don't get me wrong. For everything that we're developing, we are doing a lot. It's not like we're doing something small and I need to expand more, although we will in the future. I feel like we've set a lot of our 5, 3, 10-year goals already, and we got a lot of work to do.
We
So
we have we have everything in motion.
yeah. So
And I do believe that as we go further along, there's going to be more people who are aligned with this, the vision, our why, our mission, whatever term people are comfortable using, to be on the same page and want the same outcome.
yeah, and that's my decision moving forward, is to allow for that with as much ease and grace, so that we take everything to the next level, but in a way that doesn't like destroy us.
That doesn't cause Katie to implode with panic because she doesn't understand
yet. So it has been interesting. We do move fast. Don't get me
yes.
wrong. So we've learned one of my biggest talents is I'm an express builder, right? I can
Yes.
initiate something, build it with what would normally take 4 months within like a week and a half. But then
You
I
can be
can't
a bullet
sustain
train.
that.
Yes,
Yeah, I can be a bullet train, but then I can't sustain that. Yeah, that I would fall
right.
apart.
You work in bursts.
Exactly. I work in bursts, and then our teams around us, they have this stabilizing, okay, one piece after another after seeing the big burst vision.
Right.
And then my decision is to learn how to be patient.
Which I know I have created lots of times for you to practice patience with me, because I'm the one that, because of how I work better doing smaller steps over increments of time to slowly build, to make sure we have that really strong foundation and we have the structure and everything is well contained. So then that way it can easily be presented so people can understand it.
And I appreciate Katie for that, because there's me going, go.
I think I came up with a great analogy.
Please.
Are you ready for this?
With
Are you ready
everyone.
for this? Okay. You are the 4th of July fireworks display. I am the person who picks out what color goes off at what time with what charge to what music and takes all that time coordinating everything. So then that way we have 5 minutes of fireworks.
Way to put it. Yeah.
That's the only analogy I can come up with right now.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I think, all right.
But so again, but in that scenario, I wouldn't know where to start, what colors to use or what music to use without getting your inspiration at the very beginning. So it works both ways.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the times I do, because I feel like I put a lot of energy into this part of it, is I do set the standards. Like, I'm like, this is kind of the level of what, if that makes sense. I think we both do, to a degree.
We do. And I think that we have a great checks and balance.
Yeah. It's a really good checks and balance. And there's different areas into which we set the standards.
Right. Because there have been a few instances where, say, for example, there's a deadline. And the initial goal is, we're just going to pull numbers out of the air. We'll say the initial goal is in 1 week. And on the surface, that looks great. But then I go in and I look at all the little parts and pieces that play together and what doesn't play together and what needs to be fixed. Yeah, no, realistically, we're talking 2 weeks. So because we have those checks and balances, and you and I have become very clear in our communication with each other, and as well with Michelle and William when it comes to Say Your Journeys, is that we're able to keep it moving forward, even though all of us are working on different components.
That's pretty accurate. I feel like we all kind of know what role to assume at this point. Not just Say a Journey, but us in our partnership is like, we understand, okay, my mind doesn't go to that. Katie's mind goes there. Let me ask Katie. And then vice versa.
Yes.
Naturally.
And that is one of the wonderful things about being part of this kind of community. Being around people who are like-minded, have similar visions, have a similar mission, a similar why. We're all we might take different paths, but we also have the same outcome that we want.
Yeah, there's a diversity in our skill set and
Yeah.
our experience and our perspectives that make it really unique. But at the same time, there's a harmony to it that allows us to work in a way that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the spirit of harmony. That was the phrase that I had heard. That yes, we have created this spirit of harmony with us when it comes to creating this, because we all understand where it is that we want to go.
And what we want to see when it comes to like to the way that we want the world to be. I know that sounds so.
That sounds very pageanty, but it's the truth.
Thank you. I was like, I know that sounds really.
And world peace.
It sounds really air quotes cliche, but to be fair, that is what we
to be fair,
want.
that is what we want. We want a place where people are happier, healthier. They have wisdom, which is more than just knowledge. It's the actual applying of the knowledge.
And the truth.
And truth. You know, we want younger generations to have it happier and easier than what we had.
We do. We also want to instill a similar, not a foundation. The reason why I want to say that is, have you seen these kids online that are like disrespecting their parents? I don't want that. No.
Okay.
You're a great mother, to be honest.
Thank you. So, I appreciate
you're
that.
You're
fine. No. But I understand the challenge and the frustration with this, because when my son Austin was in kindergarten was the launch of the helicopter parents.
Oh, you mean me to my dog?
I wasn't going to say that, but maybe. You know, the parents that wanted to be 100% involved in everything that their kids do because they didn't want to miss anything. Because as they were kids, their parents were always working and were missing stuff. So they overcompensated. So from one extreme to the other.
That's, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
So not saying that we don't need to be involved in our kids' lives. We definitely do. And we definitely need to provide structure and boundaries, and most of all, open communication with our kids. Because they don't know what's going on in no, granted, I do not tell my son everything that's going on in my world. But I at least give him enough information that, hey, today is just a bad day for me because I've got work, I've got bills, I've got things that are in the back of my brain. So do you need me to put all of that aside to give you 100% dedication right now, or can you let me finish this and then we have the conversation? It works both ways, because you're verifying at the start of the conversation, you're asking the other person if they have space and the capacity to hear what you're saying at that moment.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of challenges talking to my mom and to step parents, because mom, dad, divorced, both remarried. So lots of parents growing up. Not all of them good. But I went for almost 4 years not talking to my mom because we had a breakdown in communication. And then when I decided to reopen lines of communication, we both decided that we were going to start 100% from scratch. Start with introductions. What do you like? What do you don't? And rebuild the relationship. So then that way, now we could talk to each other. There are some things about my mom I don't want to know, but we could talk to each other about absolutely everything. I did not want to have that kind of open relationship with my son, Austin. So we created boundaries and made the decision, safe topics, not safe topics.
See, that's great.
I ask him about his boyfriend, Adam, all the time. I know nothing about what goes on behind that bedroom door, and that is perfectly fine with me.
For my nieces and nephews listening, remember how I told you you can come to me for anything of that matter, right? Your responsibility is my kids. I don't want to hear anything about that. I don't want to know if they lost their virginity. None of that. They're going to you. They're going to you, kids.
I mean, Austin knows that if there's something that is wrong, scary, freaky, like bad, that he can come to me and there's absolutely no judgment. But the everyday stuff, I don't need to know. Just like he doesn't need to know about the everyday stuff on what goes on in the house when he's not here.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody cares if I walk around in my pajamas all bloody day, but that's my choice and no one else needs to know.
And that's a why.
And that's why.
There's a why. So we're gonna reel it back in. Thank you for that mini rabbit hole real quick.
Yep.
Just wanted to share that because I was like, that's a thing, and I really don't want that happening. But understanding whys are important. Also, it clarifies things, because have you noticed that when you don't have the why, sometimes you're like in anxiety because you kind of feel ungrounded and lost. Sometimes understanding the why, the reason, the purpose behind things. For instance, your relationship with your son, that why came from your experience with your mother
and step parents and everything else like that. Because the best explanation I can give is when I found out I was pregnant, I told Brian there are going to be 3 rules. You can add rules to it, but these are the first 3 rules with raising Austin. He can speak his truth without fear. We are going to listen without judgment. And no matter what, the first response is with love. And I created those 3 rules because those were 3 things I did not have growing up. Now, granted, there were all the other rules about curfews and bedtime and cleaning your room and everything, but those were the foundation rules that I had stated when I found out I was pregnant, because I didn't want there to be any kind of fear to talk to me over something that, for example, I bumped into a concrete pole in the parking lot and dented the bumper. Don't kill me. It's the car. It's going to get fixed. I still love you. Are you safe? Are you healthy? Are you hurt? No? Okay, we're good. Love you. Don't worry about the car. I grew up in fear of having that conversation as a teenager.
I just came home crying. That was
I could come home in tears and it still wouldn't matter. There would be fear in the background.
Well, my parents, it was funny. My parents didn't, I thought I cried a lot, but like when in high school and for whatever reason, the waterworks, it just, if it came out, my parents knew like because I rarely cried in front of them. So if I cried in front of them, they understood like I'm already going through it. They don't need to add the thing. They don't need to add the punishment. They know I'm going to course correct. It's just, so they would give me my space and just be like, all right.
Yeah. And, there were times where Austin got 2 times. There were only 2 times that, Brian provided most of the everyday discipline stuff, like reminding him to go clean his room, take out the trash, do whatever. When it was bad and I got involved, Austin knew that there was a serious mistake. Now, 9 times out of 10, we had a conversation. He acknowledged it. He had already course corrected and we were fine. There were 2 instances, and I'm not going to say what they are because it's nobody's business but his. But there were 2 instances when he was growing up where there was a immediate response to what it was that he was doing because it was dangerous.
That's fair.
And I immediately stepped in, put my foot down, put an end to that business, and then had a long conversation as to why I did what I did.
See, that makes sense. So I grew up I'm first generation American, right? I was born in New York. My parents are immigrant generation. So the communication skills were not the same.
Yep. Very different.
Very different. And they also came culturally from a different place too. So even on top of the English that they knew, the English didn't mean what it meant. It meant something totally different. And then at the same time, my parents, let's talk about perspective. My mom came from the north of the Philippines, which was a little more like the language and the culture was a little more systematic, very like kind of diligent, almost militant, but very, very
structured,
right? My father's part of the Philippines is where you get all of the comedian jokes because because the accent is strong. It is the stuff that you're like, for instance, we say open and close the lights, don't turn on and off the lights, and they point with their lips. That's the part that my dad comes from. We don't not think that's how you know. And on top of that, my dad's side is also the artsy, sing-songy, cultural, and very sweet, very, very sweet people. They can say, they could say the most mean thing to you, but it would still sound sweet and charming because that's that's just the culture of the area.
Right.
And it's not passive aggressive. They're being honest and direct with a smile. It's just what it is. So understanding that, and then being in that household in America, where my sisters were also immigrant generation, things were a little confusing for me.
Understandable.
But I understood how to take accountability when I started working. I know this sounds strange. As soon as I graduated college, I understood how to take full responsibility. I started learning that then and there in the NBC Universal Paid Program. Because it was just, to be fair, for those that are really high performers, when you take full responsibility of your mistakes, your achievements, your ailments, your
everything,
just your life, whatnot, right? When you finally understand how to do that and communicate that, you do achieve a lot faster than normal. And that's a why. Once I understood that and learned that helped me express build very quickly. Sometimes though, like regardless of taking responsibility, you get the onslaught of haters or whatever you want to call them. Those that aren't aligned, naysayers, yes, those that aren't aligned with the best interest of everyone involved. But that's okay. I think like a good portion of the why behind what you do and what drives you, those types of situations become like a flash pan.
Right.
And I'm going to get this. We're going to end on this quote. One second. So the quote is from Dale Carnegie. Be more concerned with your character than with your reputation. Your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. And that's a very strong why as to why you should keep moving forward with whatever you're doing, how you're doing it, regardless of the people, naysayers, or the people that are there alongside you. Just keep refining you. And that's a big why behind everything I do, on top of how I want to give to this world.
And on that fabulous quote, we thank everyone for being here this week. We know we ran a little bit long, but that's okay. We love you guys. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, our friends. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.